Joining us now on ICANN Media is Jeremy Maxwell. Jeremy's with Intertek. And Jeremy, tell us about the session that you presented here at the Global Petroleum Show.
Okay, yeah, the session I gave was on the top 8 certification failures and how to enter the market for North America ATEX and IECX hazardous location certification schemes as a smooth process.
So why don't you run through a couple for us? Some of the more common ones. I know you got the top 8 here, but there probably is a couple that stand out a little bit more than others.
Right, yeah. Basically, all of them go back to the manufacturer being prepared for the certification process in the first place. By far the number one failure that we see is in critical components and them not being certified for the proper scheme and also not being used with the proper ratings.
Are these products still able to make it to market without the proper certification?
No, usually that's just a dead halt in the certification process. We end up having to, the manufacturer has to go back and either redesign or resource components that have the proper certification.
So again, tell us some of the key ones. Now, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was point number 6.
Yeah, so designing for performance and not for certification. So the manufacturer wants their component to work properly, but for hazardous locations, we need to consider fault conditions as well. So intrinsic safety, this is a really key point. Having redundant circuitry for protection. For Zone 0 equipment, you have to go through 2 faults and it still maintain the safety function of the equipment.
Well, and we're talking here obviously about oil rigs and putting equipment on that, or oil safety, the oil industry. When it comes to a lot of I guess workers in the past on the rigs have sort of jerry-rigged their own things to get by certain situations. This is what leads me to believe that maybe some companies have come up with something that hasn't had to be certified because it suits a purpose. Is there a danger in something like that, do you think?
Yes, certainly. That's probably the most dangerous thing out there is sort of making up your own safety requirements. And we are seeing here recently in the past few years more companies that have built a product a certain way for the past 40 years and now are required to go through the certification process. They build it the exact same way they've been doing it, but they fail the certification process for one of the reasons that we have in the presentation.
Are the rules and regulations getting stricter when it comes to products that are going into potentially dangerous situations?
I wouldn't necessarily say they're getting more strict. I think they're just being enforced more recently.
So that's interesting. So the rules have been there, they just haven't always been followed.
Correct.
Okay. Where do you see the industry going from here?
It's going to keep, I think safety is definitely a key factor, and more companies are going through the certification process. And again, that is some of the struggles that we have are companies coming in for the first time. So a lot of times they'll fail just because they don't know any better. Again, they haven't designed to meet a specific standard. So the chance of them meeting that standard by luck is almost zero. So designing your product to a specific standard definitely will help.
I guess I wonder, who is it incumbent upon? Is it incumbent upon the person who builds the product to ensure that it meets the safety codes, or is it incumbent upon the person who's working, say, in the oil field to make sure that the products that they bring on are up to code?
It's really both. The manufacturer of the product needs to make sure that it's safe to use in the field. But then once in the field, the people that are using it and installing it need to know how to install it properly. That's one of the key issues is if you have an explosion-proof box and it leaves the manufacturing location as a certified box, and then out in the field they don't hook it up properly with the correct sealing glands or conduit seals, then you defeated the purpose of the whole protection method.
So how does Intertek come into play here?
Intertek is the certification body. We do North American certifications, ATEX, IECX. We're really the manufacturer's partner through the certifications process. So we can help you even from the consulting side, from design phase. One of our branches of Intertek can actually help you design your product to meet the safety requirements. And then from there, you can send it to the certification side, and we can walk you through that process as well.
Jeremy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Jeremy Maxwell here at the Global Petroleum Show in Calgary.